Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my top 20 favorite Pokemon of all time. Uh, I completely forgot that Pokemon Day was coming up and that I was going to be doing this. So I'm recording this late and everything while my dad's downstairs working out and all on Pokemon Day on Saturday. So, oops, sorry. But I'm ready to count down. We're going to try to make this quick. We're going to run through them. I am doing I'm showing it on screen over here just to give you guys a visual and just to talk about them and explain why they're my favorites. So we're going to get on with this. As you can see, we're already here. Um, I have to remember to look this way at the camera because it's on a different point than I usually have it. But let us begin. So number 20 is Torchic, the Generation 3 starter. So Torchic was always my favorite starter in Generation 3. Everybody's all about Mudkip, and even some people with Trico. But for me, it was always Torchic. Torchic was always the cutest, always just, in my opinion, the best in terms of quality. And just, I really loved it right from the beginning. The first time I ever played Gen 3, which I think I had a Ruby, if I'm remembering right. The first time I played all three of Gen 3, not counting Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I haven't actually played those myself, but they're just remakes. Um, but yeah, I've always loved Torchic, and I still do. It's just an adorable Pokemon. I love the cute little fire chicken. It's adorable. Number 19 is Frostlast. Frostlast is beautiful, gorgeous, but also spooky. Um, and there's this kind of like mythological story, I believe, in Japan about an ice princess, and that's kind of where Frostlast um, gets its design and theme from. But I think it's also like not just an ice princess, but a the spirit of an ice princess or something. I don't know exactly like the story and everything it's based off of, but it's been done in various media such as anime and whatnot. But Frostlast's Ghost Ice type is really good, a high quality Pokemon in terms of battle, but also again just really gorgeous, phenomenal design. I love it. Just everything about it is so cool looking. Um, Number 18 is Blaziken. Um, so Blaziken, again, this going off of Torchic, my favorite starter of Gen 3. Blaziken, I just always loved the firefighting chicken kind of design and everything. Just always stuck out to me. I love how the hair also, it's just this long hair shooting back, but kind of goes over the shoulders and chest and everything. I love that design. I love the color schemes and everything. It just works in pretty much every way. And Blaziken is just always, again, for me as a player of the games, has always just been very useful in battle. Um, Number 17, though, is Chikorita. So we get a Generation 2 starter here. Um, and Generation 2 had some good starters. Cyndaquil and Totodile are both good as well, but Chikorita takes the cake for me. Chikorita is adorable. And some people say that the Chikorita line is weak, and I've never understood that because I've actually always found the Chikorita line to be extremely strong. Um, so I've never really understood that mindset. But Chikorita just always super fucking cute, and honestly, that is one of my big deciding factors for choosing favorite Pokemon, or honestly, favorite anything. So yeah. Number 16 is Gudra. Gudra, again, just a really super cute one, and a really cool idea and design for a dragon type. I love like the slime goo kind of motif going on, and it's almost like a slug combined with a dragon, and I love that idea. Very slug like to me. I love the color schemes. I love like the green dots around its body, which just really stand out amongst the purples and I guess you would say whites, kind of off white, like with a little hint of purple in it. A lot of purple. But you get the idea. Um, and I just think Gudra is really cool. I've just always loved Gudra. Always thought it was a really awesome idea for a Pokemon. And so, yeah, always gotta love it. um, but moving on, number 15 is Sylveon. Let's just right here, Eevee in the Sylveon hoodie. Um, so yeah, I clearly love Sylveon. My favorite evolution by far. I just think it's super adorable. I'm into the entire like super girly aesthetic with the bows and the ribbons and everything. And people have pointed out very often that Sylveon's color scheme is very reminiscent of the trans pride flag. So there's that. But that's honestly a minor thing. That's just a little fun coincidence. I just always really liked Sylveon. So yeah, that's really the big gist of it. That's really the big reasons. But moving on from Sylveon, we get to number 14, Grimmsnarl from Generation 8. I love this entire line. Impydimp's line is so fucking cool. Just this dark fairy goblin. It is just such a cool idea. And Morgrim in the middle is a little like, okay, it's reaching its emo stage, but I love it nonetheless. And Grimmsnarl is definitely the highlight of this evolution. Like, look at all of that darkness around its green body is hair. That's all hair, and that's both really fucking creepy and kind of cool. And almost reminds me of Bayonetta in a weird way. But I love the Goblin King design of it. I love the red, like gem looking point in its chest. It's just really cool, and its Gigantamax form is even better. But moving on, moving on to number 13, we have Corviknight. Corviknight was one of my mainstays in my Pokemon Shield playthrough. Playing through that game, it was a really big deal for me getting to play through Pokemon for the first time in a long time because I didn't play Generation 7 myself. So getting to play Generation 8 myself was a big deal for me. And Corviknight was one of my mainstays. Like I said, Corviknight was just that good. It is an extremely powerful, extremely defensive, and just really fast Pokemon too. So like surprisingly fast considering it's steel. um, it's also just like again really good. It has some great moves, some great just its design is freaking awesome. Like I'm not as huge into the badass kind of thing like the entire like masculine badass kind of design for a lot of things, but with Corviknight it works. Plus I like how its entire line is like named after like chess slash like medieval army positions. Like you have Rookedy and you have Corvisquire and Corviknight. I love that. It's just a great theming that really fits in with the region as well. Um, I just really think I think he's neat. You know, I think he's neat. Number 12 though is Boltund. Boltund is like the bestest boy. Boltund is just so awesome. I love the sleek Dachshund or Dachshund. Sorry, I always pronounce it Dachshund. It's actually pronounced Dachshund. Um, I love the sleek Dachshund design. I love the like electric like points in the fur that eventually also work its way into the tail. The coloration, like yellow, white, and black, works so fucking well together, and it just looks like a really good electric dog design. Um, I really don't have much of any issue with it in battle either. It's like it's really strong. It was another one of my mainstays during my Shield playthrough. But even better than it, even better than the bestest boy is the absolute bestest boy, number 11, Yamper. Yamper. The reason Yamper is above Boltund is just cuteness. It's a it's a little fucking electric corgi with a heart on its butt. It's like it's super fucking cute. Its tail is a lightning bolt. It has this giant ass poof around its neck. It's the cuteness factor that puts it over the top for me. and makes me like it a little better than Bolton, just a little at least. But then we move into the top 10, and we start top 10 with Serena. Serena is one that a lot of people might not put on their lists. At least I haven't seen a lot of people put on their lists, but I love Serena. I love the design. I love like the focus on the legs for this Pokemon with its drop kick. I love the like it how it looks both fancy and like it's gonna kick your ass at the same time. I adore that. That's just it's my kind of thing. um, so it's always stuck with me. It's always stuck with me and always been a Pokemon that has really just stood the test of time in being one of my favorites of all time since I first saw it, pretty much. But then we get into number 9, Brion. Brion is the second stage of the Poplio line, and look how fucking pretty she is. Like the skirt, the triple layer frilly skirts, the pink in the center of the eye, the little balls on the ears. It's like it's such a visual improvement over Poplio in the best possible way. She's just so freaking cute. She's just so freaking cute. I love her so much. Number 8 is Galerian Rapidash. So yeah, I don't hide it, and for those who have been following me for a long time know that I really started a lot of my journey into fandoms and stuff with My Little Pony, and it's like Ponyta and Rapidash already I enjoyed them and I thought they were pretty cool, but the Galarian forms, it's like, can you get any more My Little Pony than this? They're fucking majestic, psychic, fairy, cotton candy wonders. Well, okay, Galarian Ponyta is only sidekick, but point still stands. Like, look at it. It's this just majestic unicorn with all this hair and fur and like the majestic like cloud like fur coming off the hooves and everything. It's just like it's so pretty. I love the colors, the white coat with the icy blue eye and the blue and purple, pinkish purple mane and tail. It's just it's so good. It's so good. Such a phenomenal design, and for a lifelong brony like me, or Pegasister for those who prefer to use that term, yeah, it's just wonderful. But on to number 7, Mimikyu. Right there. Mimikyu, it's just like for Mimikyu, it's not as much about the design for me, which is surprising that it's this high and it's not so much about the cuteness, though it is pretty cute. Mimikyu is almost entirely because of its lore. The fact that it was so neglected and hated and so unpopular because of its horrific uh, appearance that actually can cause people to die of fright, to the point where it got so depressed that it decided to make a makeshift costume of the most popular Pokemon in order to just be loved, is heartbreaking. It's so fucking heartbreaking, and it just makes me just instantly want to love it. Just so it can have that love. The ghost fairy type it's just a phenomenal typing. Mimikyu is also extremely strong in battle, and honestly, it's like while the story hooked me in and is still the main factor for my love for it, it's like I've just grown to appreciate it as its own Pokemon as well. It has a great ability. It's just a phenomenal concept, and I just think that when Game Freak and them, everyone who designed and created this Pokemon specifically, they did something really special with this one that they really had not done since Generation One, and that's something for me to say because um, I actually think that the more recent generations have had a lot better Pokemon overall, but in terms of its design and lore, this is something truly special. It just really, just even today, even to this day, astounds me at how just perfectly this was conceptualized. But there are ones I do just prefer more. So number 6, Miractus. I'm going to zoom in on this one because it's a little small, this picture. Miractus is one, unlike Mimikyu, that is purely about the cuteness. Because Miractus is actually one of the few on this list that I would actually say is not that great in battle. Like, it's not terrible, it's not the worst, but it's not that good. It's one of those Pokemon like you'll use early game if possible, if and when possible. But otherwise, it's like you probably will just box it. But I love Miractus nonetheless. It's so fucking cute. Like there's the Cacnea and Cacturn line as well in terms of cactus based Pokemon, but honestly, those ones are like more of the edgy type of design for a cactus and what you'd more expect. You know, cactus, it's spiny, it's edgy, it's sharp, and all of that. But instead, when they designed Miractus, they clearly went for the more beautiful sides of cacti as well. Because if you've seen some cacti in real life, they can be gorgeous with their different floral styles and whatnot. Like, and they really show that off. So they still have the spines, they still have the spikes on Miractus, but it's also you also have the flowers, and Miractus is always dancing, and it's really cute. So actually, there is the concept too. It's the fact that it's cute. There it is conceptually well handled. But then we get into the top 5. So my 5 favorite Pokemon of all time as of current. This could change as Generation 9 comes out, or it could just change as I play more games and experience things and experience different Pokemon in different ways. But my top 5 for now starts with number 5, Grooky. Um, Again, let's close this for a second just to show off Grooky back here. Grooky is definitely a big surprise hit for me because I was outside of like Chikorita, I'm not a big fan of grass starters. They just never did it for me as much as like fire and water. Bulbasaur, I never understood the appeal that people have. I've never understood that. Trico is boring. I don't even remember. God, who was the Gen 4 grass starter? I don't remember. I have a hard time remembering a lot of stuff with Gen 4 and Gen 5 even too. No, Gen 5 was Gen 5 Chespin? I don't know. But that's the point. The grass starters never really stuck out much to me. So when I saw the starters for this one, I was very hesitant about Grookey. But I decided, you know what? I'm liking what I'm seeing of the promotional material and stuff, and I want to see where its evolutionary line goes, and I think I like it. I wasn't a fan of Scorbunny. Well, I wasn't more of a fan of Scorbunny at first, but I kind of dipped off from that, and then Sobble kind of came up and took its place. But Grookey just always felt like the better one for me, and when I started actually playing Shield and everything, that was definitely proven. While I'm not as big a fan of Thwackey, its second evolution, Rillaboom is definitely on the better side of things in terms of that. But Grookey alone, I love its design. Cute little monkey. I love the orange on the end of its paws. I love the stick. Like the stick is, it's basically iconic for its design, having it normally in its little leafy hair and then pulling it out to like thwack around with it. Like I love that. It has just a really good color scheme, really good rounded features, and again, it's really good in battle. It just really is. Honestly, I would say it is the best starter of Gen 8 in terms of battle, not just in terms of personal preference and cuteness and stuff. Um, and yeah, just again, from playing Shield and how much that meant to me, it also helped me just love Grookey that much more because of that. I just grew really attached to all my Pokemon in that game, to be fair. Um, but then we get into the top 4, and number 4 is Galerian Ponyta. So we already had Galarian Rapidash, now we have Galarian Ponyta. And although it doesn't actually have the fairy typing like its evolution, it really should, honestly. Like, it should be fairy. If it's going to be one type and then Rapidash will be the second, will be both, it should have been fairy instead of just psychic. It's just a smaller, cuter Galarian Rapidash, but it's also it was honestly for me the biggest reason, other than just the fact that it's super cute and My Little Pony. Um, I still very much remember when I first saw it when they were doing that big like long ass stream of just showing the forest. Like they just had the forest on this stream, and there's like, okay, you'll see an occasional Pokemon bop by, and it was like, I think it was like 2 days long, just 48 hours worth of stream of just that. But then at one point in the stream, all of a sudden, Galarian Ponyta out of nowhere, and it's like when I first saw Galarian Ponyta, it's like it was just like instant love. Instantly, it's like I love you. I have to have you. And honestly, it was one of my biggest reasons for getting Shield over Sword, um, because I wanted Galarian Ponyta. I mean, there were other reasons like Melanie and Alistair, of course, but I really wanted Galarian Ponyta. That was one of the big reasons for sure. Um, so it's like I just instantly fell in love with it, and after starting to use it in the game, it's like, oh yeah, it's a really good Pokemon. It's a really good regional variant for Ponyta. The type combination works well, and it's just like it works in just pretty much every way. But then we get into the top three. These are my favorites, and these ones will probably always remain the same, unless something really impressing comes along in Gen 9 or something or whatever. Um, but these three are pretty much mainstays for my top three, again, unless something really surprises me. So, number three is Primarina. And Primarina, you would actually think might be a little higher, but the two above it just mean a little more to me. Primarina is stunning in its design, absolutely stunningly gorgeous. The mermaid seal aspect is so brilliant in its idea, but also the execution is just it's perfection. And the Poplio line in general has always, again, kind of like with Sylveon, has always kind of had that connection people have found to trans experience, because Poplio is very boy-like, and then Brion ends up going in a more girly direction, and then Primarina is just this gorgeous mermaid, and it's like, holy shit. And it's just, again, the colors, the striking blue eyes, the pearls around the hair and the crown, and it's just like it's just absolute pretty, absolute pure absolute pretty. So yeah, it's just easily my favorite starter in this entire franchise. Well, my favorite from any starter line, I should say, because technically Poplio's the starter, but you know what I mean. But number two, the runner up, my second favorite Pokemon of all time, as of current, is Nidorina. Nidorina was one that I always liked, but never really grew attached to until actually more recently. Um, it's actually, funny enough, Let's Go Eevee that did it. When I was playing Let's Go Eevee, which was after I had already played Pokemon Shield, by the way. So keep in mind, this was actually still very recent because I got Pokemon Shield on Christmas of 2019. And so it was like just after that, it was like the beginning of 2020, like early January still, when I started playing Let's Go Eevee. And it's like I was not enjoying the game very much. Like it looked pretty, but the gameplay was atrociously bad. But I had a female Nidoran that I had from early on, and I brought it pretty much throughout the entire game. And when as a Nidorina, I grew to love it. I grew just really quickly to love it. Its design just super adorable. Like I know it might be weird for some people to think of Nidorina as super adorable, but I just have ever since. And again, it was like kind of the only bright light in that game for me, outside of a cameo appearance by Nina from Gen 7, but that's a minor thing. But throughout the entire game, Nidorina was kind of the only thing that kept me going. And it's weird as hell to think about that because, again, prior to playing that, I didn't think too highly of Nidorina. I liked her. I liked her for sure, but it's like she wasn't one of my favorites necessarily. But it's wild how much that can change through just playing a game. And when she came in the crown during the Crown Tundra expansion for Pokemon Sword and Shield, instantly I like before I did almost anything else, I had to go find her. I had to get a Nidorina. It's just like I love her just that much now. And again, it's wild to me to think that she is my number two, my runner up of my favorite Pokemon of all time. But hey, I'm not complaining. So, what is my number one? What is my favorite Pokemon of all time? Again, as of current? Well, Miltank. Because, of course, Miltank has always been a Pokemon I have adored. Like, literally always, since Gen 2, since I first played Gen 2. I played the Pokemon game since the very beginning, since Gen 1 first came out. Like, I am legitimately a lifelong Pokemon fan. I've been playing since the beginning. I watched the anime, I played the cards. I've done so much with this franchise. And ever since Gen 2 came out, I remember exactly the experience too. Like, I remember we were going on vacation, and my parents surprised me and my sister with gold and silver. Gold for me, silver for my sister. And we played them in the car on the way there, on the way to vacation. I remember that very clearly, excessively clearly. I remember the excitement, and I remember like when I saw Miltank, I loved her. And there was a point where I kind of stopped loving her for a bit, just because there was a weird point in my life where I didn't like cows, like at all. I was scared of them. I didn't even like milk for a point because I didn't like cows. I don't know why. It was the weirdest fucking thing. It was one of the weirdest phases in my life. But once that phase was over and everything, my love for Miltank came back pretty much instantly. And ever since, it's just been growing higher and higher and higher. And of course, I have a Miltank on Pokemon Shield. Of course, I just adore her. It's just her design is perfect to me. It is the perfect design for a cow Pokemon. It is both equal parts cow and equal parts something special and mysterious and magical that really fits Pokemon. It feels both special and normal enough to not be too weird. You know what I mean? Um, but she's also a monster in battle. Like everyone talks about Whitney's Miltank, even though I don't think Whitney's Miltank is that hard to beat at all. Um, but Miltank is a monster in battle. Extremely powerful, extremely defensive, really good, and unfortunately, really often just ignored. Not really looked down on necessarily, but not often looked too highly upon either. And it's really disappointing because of how good she is in battle. And it's just Miltank has been easily my favorite Pokemon pretty much my entire time playing this franchise. Because again, since Gen 2. And again, there was a dry spot there where I kind of like turned away from that, but that was just because I was weird as fuck as a kid. Just being honest. I was really fucking weird as a kid. Um, but Miltank, like, I need to get a plush of Miltank. I'm surprised I don't have a plush of Miltank. Like, these are all my Pokemon plushes here, including the Pokeball, of course. But yeah, I don't actually have a plush, and I'm really surprised. I really need to get one. And I plan to at some point. I just haven't yet. But yeah, so those are my top 20 favorite Pokemon of all time for Pokemon Day. Just a fun little way to celebrate. It's been 25 years of this franchise. I'm only 29. That tells you when this franchise first started. Granted, it didn't come to America right away, but still. Um, but that tells you it's like I was still very young. So yeah, it's been pretty much my entire life, and it's like it's just honestly, along with like the Legend of Zelda, it's one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time, and it just keeps improving in a lot of ways. And there was a point with Gen 4 through 6 were definitely a low point for me. But 7 and 8 have just risen higher and higher than Pokemon's ever been, in my opinion. Gen 8 is easily my favorite generation, and I can't wait for Gen 9. This Pokemon Day, we also got some big announcements around this time. I'm super excited for the Pokemon Legends Arceus game, the open world Pokemon RPG that's coming to Nintendo Switch. I definitely plan to get that. Um, but I'm also excited for new Pokemon Snap. I played the shit out of Pokemon Snap when I was a kid. I loved that game. Like I knew every secret. I beat it multiple times. When my grandmother worked at Blockbuster, she used to have the little photo machine. You could actually print out photos from the game. Uh, it's just I adored it. I adored the shit out of it, and I'm so happy that now this many years later, it took so long, but it's happening. We are getting a sequel, and it looks so fucking good. And then there's the Diamond and Pearl remix, which looks like shit, and I'm not going to talk anymore about them because they make me irritated. But again, Gen 4 is my least favorite generation anyway, so it's not even that big of a disappointment, I guess you could say. But yeah, tell me in the comments below, what are your favorite Pokemon of all time? And what are some of your favorite Pokemon memories? Like, what are like just the great moments you've had playing the games, watching the anime, collecting the cards, or whatever else throughout these 25 years? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry I got this up so late. Again, I forgot about it. But I hope everyone has had a great Pokemon day. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.